All right. As you guys can see, I'm filming. This helps me improve my speeches. I'm not here very often, so actually having this, I'm able to actually analyze my speeches and improve on them. So that's why that's there. For my speech is called How Practice Makes Perfect and How Toastmasters has actually helped me in real life. So when I was 18, I had 3 goals outside high school. I wanted to do an Ironman. I want to learn how to play an instrument, which I haven't done yet, but I want to do in the future. And the third one was to be able to public speak or improve my public speaking skills. I was terrible at public speaking in high school. I'd miss presentations purposely and exchange it for bad grades. I had no problem doing that. I just did not want to embarrass myself. So a couple years go by. About this time last year, I was like, well, it's finally time to kind of man up to that and actually try to improve it. So I remember I came over to this club and I was sitting down, and I remember someone approached me and was like, well, we like our new members to actually say something. And so if you'll join us for our table topics, we'd love that. And I remember being like, well, shit. I don't want to say anything. So I remember coming up, and I remember the table topic was, what was your favorite Halloween costume? And I remember it was a cardboard box my mom had made for me in about 5 minutes on Halloween. We're super unprepared. But yeah, and I remember after doing that, I remember being like, oh, you know what? It wasn't so bad. I remember I was quivering in my voice. But you know what? I was like, you know what? I can actually do this. So I remember the new year kind of rolled around, and when I actually had the time for it, I joined the club. And I had my first speech, and it was about 4 minutes long. Didn't have much of a conclusion, but I got feedback to actually improve that speech. And next speech that I had was about 6 minutes long. Feedback was much better, had a conclusion. And with the feedback that people had actually given me before, I could actually improve my speech. Summer kind of like rolled around, and I had other priorities that I put before public speaking. And for the first time really ever since I joined, I'd actually had an opportunity to actually say something in real life as opposed to in here where we practice. So my sister's wedding was coming up, and she was like, oh, I'd love for you to say something. And she's like, it doesn't necessarily actually have to be at the wedding. It could be at the rehearsal dinner or whatever. I was like, yeah, I'll do that, for sure. And I didn't practice. And I remember the week of kind of came around, my sister was like, oh, are you gonna say something? I was like, yeah, I'll say something. And day of rolls around, and I had nothing prepared. I kind of made up the excuse I didn't have time, which was not true. I could have made the time. And you know what? The rehearsal dinner kind of came around, and no one was saying anything. I was like, thank God, not like off the hook completely, like sweet. But then at the end of the night, people actually started saying stuff. So, and I kind of just watched in front of me all these people, they came up nervous, stepping out of their comfort zone completely. I was like, wow, I could be one of these people, but I'm choosing not to be. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it, really. And my mom was like, does anyone else want to say anything? My whole body was like, do it. And I didn't do it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is really who I'm becoming. When an opportunity arises to actually say something about someone you love, you won't do it. So I remember I went back to my car, and I couldn't believe it. And I reached out to my sister. I was like, I have to say something. So that night, I practiced for 3 hours, and the next day rolled around, and I did my speech, about 5 minutes long. It was in front of 120 people, and it went super well. So yeah, to conclude, we do this, the Toastmasters, to actually practice our public speaking. So when things actually arrive, whether that be in the workplace, whether that be in a wedding, you can step up and be the person to actually make that speech. You can talk about the person you love. You can say something about the company and how to improve it, and actually progress in life. So to conclude, I'd say if you ever have an opportunity to actually speak, do it, because practice makes perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So first off, Toddy, I'm very happy to hear that your practice here at Toastmasters is transferring to public speaking in the real world, and that someone here who is practicing public speaking is also doing it in the real world. Hopefully there are more of us. And you told us a story, which is a great way to connect with your audience, as opposed to giving us facts and figures and everything else. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say, I'm very disappointed, young man, that you didn't heed the lessons of the Pathways Icebreaker project and practice in advance of the rehearsal dinner. But that said, the speech you gave us here tonight was quite good. So we'll start with your vocal variety. Your volume was good, and you enunciate very clearly. You also you speak at a pace that allows everyone to hear. A lot of people who, when they first start, myself included, start talking way too fast, especially if you get nervous and you just start saying things and nobody can understand what you're saying. So you kept it nice and steady, which is good. Something that you can add to your vocal variety in future speeches is to put in a pause before you go to the next section. Your eye contact with the audience was quite good. You were looking around at everybody, as was your body language. And your body language was half directed at the audience members and it was half directed at the lectern. You were sometimes moving over here, which is great, and moving back and forth, but you'd always have to look back at your speech to figure out what you were going to say next. So if you can practice just a little bit more so that you have your speech memorized, it's not like a script at a play where you have to memorize every word. You just kind of have to know how to be able to say it. And if you reverse the order of sentences or you say it a little bit differently every time, that's fine. But it's exactly what you say, which is practice makes perfect. And the other thing is that if you know the content of your speech so well that you don't even have to think about it, you can just deliver it ad nauseum, then you're not going to, because you don't have to think about it, your brain attention or your bandwidth can go to something else. So it can start going to how the audience is responding to you. It can start going to how your body is moving. And it can start going to your vocal variety, your pacing and your tone, that kind of stuff. To the structure and the content of the speech itself, when you came out of the intro, you gave us a story. You were talking about being in high school and having these goals of wanting to do an Ironman, learn an instrument, and do public speaking, which was a nice segue, but I was still left a little bit confused about where the speech was going. So for the structure that they try and teach us in Toastmasters is to just make it very, very clear. It's like a high school essay. So something that you could have said to end your intro with, which you could have said something to the effect of, I'll tell you my story about learning public speaking through Toastmasters and how I used it in public speaking in the real world. Other things within the content of the speech, I would have liked to hear a little bit more about what went well during the speech at your sister's wedding. And you certainly could have flaunted, some of the things that you learned here at Toastmasters and how that helped you when you're up there. It could have been something like you didn't feel as nervous or you felt more confident, you knew to slow down or you knew to look across the room when you're speaking to people. That would have all been useful. You could have also improved your conclusion a little bit by tying in the theme that you gave us at the opening. So for example, you could have ended with something like, well, I didn't practice at all before the rehearsal for dinner and flubbed it. I practiced a lot before the wedding and nailed it, which just goes to show practice makes perfect. This is Toastmaster.
All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that kind of style video. First of many, I will continue uploading my speeches. So you guys will see my successes and my failures. Regardless how I did, I will upload them. So yeah, after every single meeting, you actually get a bunch of pamphlets from different people, about 15, 20 people there. And they give you advice and feedback on how to actually improve, so that's super nice too. As you guys saw in the video, there was different people evaluating me. So there was one person, Nick, he was actually evaluating my speech and giving me feedback. But there's multiple roles within the club. So there'll be someone actually counting your ums and ahs, like how many times you actually say that. And then there'll be a table topics person, which pretty much gives you topics, and it has to be kind of like improv. You have to think of things on the spot. So that helps a lot for interview questions or whatever may pop up. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. They have these clubs all over Ottawa. I think there's about 3 or 4, and if you go to smaller towns or bigger cities, they also have them as well. So pretty accessible. So yeah, hopefully you guys were inspired, and yeah, see you in the next one. Ciao.